Hi, Matt with etrailer. Today we're going to be talking about the Mount-n-Lock GennyGo generator and cargo carrier and some features about it and how easy it is to install. Because that is one of the major benefits of this, is how easy this is to really just maneuver. I can pick this up with one arm, and how compact it sits. Perfect to store right next to your generator, because that's typically what you're going to be using this for, to haul those smaller generators from point A to point B. And as you can see, I could just flip that shank 180, put that pin back into place. And really the hardest part about this is just getting that pin lined in. Once you have that pin lined up though, it's just a matter of securing it back down and then picking it up and putting it in your vehicle. And this is where I really think it shines too. If you have a Bronco or a Jeep or any vehicle that has a spare tire on the back, this isn't going to make contact with that. When securing this down, you just need to make sure you have a 2-inch hitch receiver, and you need to invest in a pin and clip. Now, if you don't have one, you can find one of those on our website. That is one of the downsides to this carrier. I wish it did come with one, but they're not always standard with carriers, so as long as you can get your hands on some, it'll help you out some. And then if we look over here to the carrier itself, we're going to have a decent amount of space. This is going to be 24 by 24 inches in width and length. And on here, what I noticed right off the bat is we're going to have plenty of mounting points. Whether that is on the base of this carrier where you're putting those hooks through, or if you want to put those hooks through those sidewalls. That's a major benefit to really mix and match whatever you're carrying. Now, you don't have to just load generators on this. Really, anything that can fit within that 24 by 24 inch range can fit here. And as long as those items are under 150 pounds, that'll be fine too. Now, with this weight on here, we are going to notice this is going to move around a little bit. And that's pretty common if you don't have any anti-rattle device. But what I'd like to show is the brackets that hold this in place. If we look right here, we'll be able to see those brackets on that shank. And this is where we're getting a lot of flex right now. These are moving around a little bit, but that's just going to be common with any type of aluminum type carrier. It doesn't feel like it's brittle. It feels pretty resilient though. But in all honesty, when you are driving down the road, you're probably not going to get much more movement than this. Because even if you're driving down those gravel roads, that's going to be probably the most you see. Now, if you're doing a little bit of off-roading, then that's where you're going to get a lot of movement, and I wouldn't recommend using this carrier with anything super heavy in those conditions. This will work with a lot of different types of straps or hooks to really show you what I'm talking about. When we come over here to these holes that I talked about earlier, we have a lot of different types. And when I put this hook in here, this feels pretty good. These don't feel like they're going to warp at all if I tighten this down a lot. And that's going to be partly due to this thickness of that aluminum. So even though we have this lightweight material, that's going to be very sturdy. And we're going to have a lot of different points to tie off to, not only in location, but even types of holes too. So I could go all the way to the bottom underneath here and secure this if I really wanted to, or if I had some really beefy clamps or types of hooks that don't fit in here, I even have this larger one at this point here. So I do like that we have multiple types of options, and this just makes this whole process easier when you are trying to tie down anything to your carrier. Just having those options really help us out in the long run. I also want to check out how this is going to hold up to when I am ratcheting something in place. So you can tell this is going to move a little bit, but this isn't going anywhere. Honestly, I probably don't even need this tightened down, but if you really wanted to, you can do that. And the warping is pretty minimal. And like I said, you can put different types of items in here. And something you should probably watch out for is just how it's going to interact with those sidewalls. So if I get that measurement real quick, that's going to be about 2.5 inches. That's important to know just in case you have anything that kind of hangs over a little bit. So it doesn't stick out too far. A spot to really think about is how it's going to interact if you have a spare tire on the back of here. Now, for example, I still have about 7 inches from the spare itself until we make contact with anything. What I'd recommend though is coming down here and getting this measurement from your hitch pin hole, because our measurement from the hitch pin hole to where that carrier begins is going to be just slightly under 11.5 inches. So if you just measure from your hitch pin hole, the center of it, to about 11.5 inches, and if your spare tire doesn't go past that, or if you have anything on the back of your vehicle that doesn't go past that point, you should be good to use this. In my opinion, I think this is a great option for a couple reasons. For what we talked about earlier, how compact and easy to move this carrier is, because at the end of the day, it is only 15 pounds, so you can pretty much lift that up with one arm, throw it in the back of your car. It's not going to take up a lot of space back there either. And the second reason is if you have a lot of items on the back of your vehicle or just a spare tire in general, there's not too many carriers out there that are going to be able to accommodate for that. Now there is one that I can think of, and that's going to be the etrailer cargo carrier. The downside of that one though is, while it does stick out pretty far, it's a big carrier, which at the beginning might seem good, but the downside to that is it's going to be extremely heavy and then really hard to store in your garage, and it's going to be even harder to store in your vehicle. And that's what's great about this. If you're on the move going from campsite to campsite, taking a generator or whatever you're hauling with you, like those dirtier items, once you're not using it, you can just put it back in your vehicle and hit the road again. So now I'm going to take it out on our bump course just to see how this really handles and how our carrier is going to really react to some in-use testing. So what I'm mainly looking for is how that top part of this carrier is going to really bend, and then I'm also watching underneath at those brackets. And the first part I like to test out is just the initial bumps. We're just going to have some speed bumps on our course, and honestly, looking at this isn't moving as much as I initially thought. Now you are going to have a lot of play, but that's just really the nature of aluminum cargo carriers. I thought this was going to move a lot more, but some of that is going to be due to us not having any anti-rattle device on this as well. But you can definitely see those brackets were moving a bit. And then I want to transition over to our gravel course. And this is going to be something for those more like campground situations where of course you are going to have some holes in the ground, some just larger gravel in general, and you can definitely see that movement here now. And I don't think none of this is too crazy. I do see a lot of movement just with other carriers in general, but with an aluminum one, as you can see, you're going to get a little bit more, especially on those larger bumps. But again, that was just our look at the Mount-n-Lock GennyGo General and Cargo Carrier. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.